the teachings of the Buddha, Sabha Sutta, at Savatthi. Mendicants, I will teach you the all. Listen. And what is the all? It is just the eye and sights, the ear and sounds, the nose and smells, the tongue and tastes, the body and touches, and the mind and ideas. This is called the all. Mendicants, suppose someone was to say, I will reject this all and describe another all. They would have no grounds for that. They would be stumped by questions, and in addition, they'd get frustrated. Why is that? Because they are out of their element. Pahana Sutta, the teaching of Buddha. Mendicants, I will teach you the principle for giving up the all. Listen. And what is the principle for giving up the all? The I should be given up. Sights should be given up. I consciousness should be given up. Consciousness is just like affiliation or involvement. That's all that it means. So like you identify with something and then there's a consciousness related to that identification with it. I consciousness should be given up. Eye contact should be given up. The painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by eye contact should also be given up. The same is true of the ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. They should all be given up. Ideas should be given up. Mind consciousness should be given up. Mind contact should be given up. The painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises, conditioned by mind contact, should be given up. This is the principle for giving up the all. Abhina Parinapa Sutta. Mendicants, I will teach you the principle for giving up the all by direct knowledge and complete understanding. And we can say through direct experiencing. You have complete understanding about the bird that comes by and says hello through your direct experience of that, not what you think about it, not what you write down about it. Mendicants, I will teach you the principle for giving up the all by direct knowledge and complete understanding. Listen. So direct knowledge like direct experience, and complete understanding, meaning you are not confused about direct experience. You are not looking for something else in direct experience. And what is the principle for giving up the all by direct knowledge and complete understanding? The I should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. Sights should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. I consciousness should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. Eye contact should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. The painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises, conditioned by eye contact, should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. So we develop an affiliation with a particular kind of experience, like a sight or a sound, and because of our affiliation with it, the pleasant and unpleasant, we have preferences. So that painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by eye contact, and we should know moment by moment what we are being conditioned by or affiliated with, right? Like we're identifying with seeing, or we're identifying with hearing, or we are identifying with thinking. The painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by eye contact or whatever contact should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. The ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. So you look at it, you experience it directly, and you don't add on doubt or confusion or skepticism. You know it through direct experience, and you're not looking for something else. Mind consciousness should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. Mind contact should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. The painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by mind contact should be given up by direct knowledge and complete understanding. This is the principle for giving up the all by direct knowledge and complete understanding. Patama Parijana Sutta. Mendicants, without directly knowing and completely understanding the all, without dispassion for it. So you know, it's like, are you passionate about things that you don't like? You are, but you don't think you are, right? So you understand the principle of that. So dispassion, it's disenchantment, it's untanglement. It's like you see that and you know it's not reliable, so you're not interested in it. And this is the big problem we have, is that we're looking towards and we are interested in things that, you know, actually don't give us peace or freedom or anything like that. They just cause more suffering, and they're not reliable. So mendicants, words of the Buddha, without directly knowing and completely understanding the all, mind, body, sight, sound, smells, taste, touch, without dispassion for it and giving it up, you cannot end suffering. And what is the all? Without directly knowing and completely understanding which, without dispassion for it and giving it up, you can't end suffering. Without directly knowing and completely understanding the I, without dispassion for it and giving it up, you can't end suffering. Without directly knowing and completely understanding sights, eye consciousness, eye contact, painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by eye contact, without dispassion for it and giving it up, you can't end suffering. So it's like you know that it doesn't work, so you stop trying to rely on it. And without stopping to try and rely on it, without detachment, you cannot end suffering. Without directly knowing and completely understanding the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, without dispassion for it and giving it up, you can't end suffering. Without directly knowing and completely understanding ideas, mind consciousness, mind contact, painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by mind contact, without dispassion for it and giving it up, you can't end suffering. This is the all, that without directly knowing and completely understanding which, without dispassion for it and giving it up, you cannot end suffering. By directly knowing and completely understanding the all, everything, having dispassion for it and giving it up, you can end suffering. And what is the all? Directly knowing and completely understanding which, having dispassion for it and giving it up, you can end suffering. By directly knowing and completely understanding the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind, having dispassion for it and giving it up, you can end suffering. By directly knowing and completely understanding ideas, mind consciousness, mind contact, painful, pleasant, or neutral feelings that arise conditioned by mind contact, having dispassion for it and giving it up, you can end suffering. This is the all, directly knowing and completely understanding which, having dispassion for it and giving it up, you can end suffering. Thinking about things is a lot less important than we think that it is. Arabutta Sutta, so I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Rajagaha, in the bamboo grove, the squirrels' feeding ground. There, the Buddha addressed the mendicants. Mendicants, all is oppressed, and what is the all that is oppressed? The eye is oppressed. Sights are oppressed. Eye consciousness is oppressed. Eye contact is oppressed. The painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by eye contact is also oppressed. Oppressed by what? Oppressed by the fires of greed, hate, and delusion. Oppressed by rebirth, old age, and death, by sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress, I say. The ears, nose, tongue, body, mind is oppressed. Ideas are oppressed. Mind consciousness is oppressed. Mind contact is oppressed. The painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by mind contact is also oppressed. Oppressed by what? Oppressed by greed, hate, and delusion. Oppressed by rebirth, old age, and death, by sorrow, lamentation, pain, sadness, and distress, I say. Seeing this, a learned, noble disciple grows disillusioned with the eye, sights, eye consciousness, and eye contact. And they grow disillusioned with the painful, pleasant, or neutral feelings that arise conditioned by eye contact. They grow disillusioned with the ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. They grow disillusioned with painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by mind contact. Being disillusioned, desire fades away. When desire fades away, they are freed. When they are freed, they know they are freed. They understand rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is no return to any state of existence. The Pali Canon. So what we like or don't like is, it's not that important, and we kind of have to watch out for that mind that thinks that it is important. This kind of mind causes a lot of problems and wastes a lot of people's time. So yeah, you will be aware of what you like and what you don't like, but why does that matter so much? That's important.
Our lives are predestined in some sort of way.
Yeah, it's cause and effect. That's predestination. The predestination is determined according to cause and effect. So what you do, you get back. And cause and effect is very subtle, much more subtle than we can intellectually comprehend. But we can do good deeds. We can hope to become enlightened, uh, and follow the teachings that lead to enlightenment. But it's all a matter of cause and effect. And cause and effect is not about I, not about someone.
Thank you for your insight.
By giving up the all. Mental habits are just mental objects, just things that you're carrying around with you in your mind. So you need to give them up and stop dwelling on them, stop fixating on them. You know, people think they have these habit patterns or something like that, but you just have to give up what you think you have, and then you will solve it. It's like if someone gives me a Rubik's Cube. Okay, let's say this is a Rubik's Cube, okay? And this is my hand and this is someone else's hand. So if someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, Bhante, you're supposed to be a monk and stuff. You know, you're a teacher and all that. You know, but can you solve a Rubik's cube? You know, you're giving spiritual teachings, but can you solve a Rubik's cube?" And hold on, I'm going to replace this. This is the Rubik's cube. This is someone else's hand. This is my hand. And they say, "But can you solve a Rubik's cube?" You know, and I'll tell them, "Yeah, I can solve it with my eyes closed." Okay, and then it'll go like this: solved. So in a sense, I'm teaching people to do that, and the more we remember the principle, the more we can put it into practice, and then we will be successful in our practice.
That's what people would call the monkey brain, right? You're just like throwing that away.
No, you're not throwing it away. You are giving it up. You are detaching from it. Throwing it away is more like you're still giving it value. You're giving it the value of something that is bad. But it's not bad. It's just the cause of suffering. The grasping, the craving, the fixation on mental or physical phenomena. So you're not throwing it away as much as, could say it like that, but you're more abandoning it because it doesn't, it is unnecessary. But you're not trying to destroy it. You're not fighting with it. You're not making a statement by throwing it away. You're just putting it down. And there's a lot of ways to put things down. There's a lot of ways to give things up. Right? Interesting. Up and down, but it means the same thing. Should you give it up or put it down? Empty space. Empty space full of things. Is not correct. The distinction between up and down is phony. And the Buddha is the true teacher. And that goes into Buddhism being a non-dual tradition, which is great. Samugata Sarupa Sutta. Mendicants, I will teach you the practice fit for uprooting all conceiving. Listen and apply your mind well. I will speak. And what is the practice fit for uprooting all conceiving? It is when a mendicant does not conceive anything to be the I, does not conceive it in the I, does not conceive it as the I, and does not conceive that the I is mine. They don't conceive anything to be sights. They don't conceive it in sights. They don't conceive it as sights. And they don't conceive that sights are mine. They don't conceive eye consciousness, eye contact. They don't conceive anything to be the pleasant, painful, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by eye contact. They don't conceive it in that. They don't conceive it as that. And they don't conceive that that is mine. They don't conceive anything to be the ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. They don't conceive anything to be the pleasant, painful, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by the mind, contact. They don't conceive it in that. They don't conceive it as that. And they don't conceive that that is mine. They don't conceive anything to be all. They don't conceive it in all. They don't conceive it as all. And they don't conceive that all is mine. Not conceiving. They don't grasp at anything in the world. Not grasping, they are not anxious. Not being anxious, they personally become extinguished. They understand rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is no return to any state of existence. This is the practice fit for uprooting all conceiving. Let's look at another translation of this from Bhikkhu Bodhi. Oh, he also used the word conceiving, so we'll have to digest conceiving. But it's making things up, right? Stop making things up. It just is as it is, directly, experientially, at this moment, as if there were another moment. You know, I've been on the planet Earth, as far as I know, for 31 years. And I don't know that I've ever experienced another moment outside of this one. And that seems to happen again and again and again. Something strange is going on. Because only this moment is it. Stop making things up. It means stop adding on to what you are experiencing. Just experience it as it is. Right? You see that someone, you smell someone, they smell good. Oh, that must be a good person. You see someone and they're ugly. You say, oh, that must be a bad person. And we do this in so many different ways all the time. We just make things up according to our perceptions. So what you see, the eye itself, what you see, how you feel about what you see, don't conceive about it. Don't create ideas about it. Don't see it as mine. It's a happening. Who created the heavens and the earth? Well, who are you? Who is who? Why are we asking so many questions about sounds? Right? And then thoughts. It's a little bit unreliable. So the Buddha is teaching us to uproot grasping onto ideas. That's how we train ourselves.
If not by sight, then what about internal feelings or personal feelings?
What do you want to do with those personal feelings of yours?
Mm, it's not so much of what I want to do, but say, as you mentioned, if you don't, if you tried not to perceive what you see by sight, what about, like, you know, like that feeling that you get, like a gut feeling, let's say?
Start back at the beginning. Say it again, please.
So let's say, how do I put this? Like, let's say if we don't look at a pretty person, let's say, and we're supposed to cast away our sight and stuff. But what if that pretty person is, let's say, we have that feeling that they might not be such a good person? Do we, like, do we go off by our feelings then, if not by sight? Does that make sense?
Does anyone else understand the question?
Uh, I think it's about intuition. So,
That's the word. Intuition,
yes.
yes.
So
So, do
you
we go with our gut feeling or do we judge the appearance, let's say?
you so Buddhism is a training, a practice, and the Buddha's teachings, and specifically this sutta, these suttas we've been looking at the past period of time, are how to train the mind, how to train, how to practice. So none of this excludes common sense. So if we approached, if we held this position, it would be like we thought that the Buddha would go to a farmer and tell him to, like not take care of the farm. Why would the Buddha say something like that? So all of the Buddhist teachings are trainings, and none of them exclude common sense, but they are precisely about practice, about training the mind, about how we work with the experience, with the situation that we're in. So, not understanding it is very important so that you can question and look more deeply into your understanding of it. But if you are not open enough about not understanding it, then you will be easy to misconstrue it as some kind of idea or philosophy. So we're not rejecting the eyes, we're not rejecting the ears, we're not rejecting our experience, we're detaching from it. In the same way that if we take a medicine and we see that it doesn't work, we don't fight against that medicine. We don't kind of like we don't protest about that medicine because it doesn't work for us. We put it down. We detach from it. And what the Buddha is telling us here is that all of these phenomena, call it whatever you want, mental phenomena and material phenomena of the body and the contact with the external world, are burning with greed and desire and fear and hatred and distress. So we solve the problem by detaching from these phenomena. We're not fighting against them. We're not removing them. It's like, if you removed your ability to see, that wouldn't mean anything. You would still be attached to sight. Even if you couldn't see, you would still be attached to sight. So sure, use your intuition, but it's more important to become enlightened than to be, intuitive or something like that. The highest intuition is knowing that you don't want to suffer anymore. And then practicing in such a way that you don't suffer anymore. And this conceiving is basically going outside of the training, right? Like instead of practicing mindfulness of your breathing now, instead of being here and meditating and listening, conceiving about things. So whenever we conceive about things, we go back to our mindfulness, we go back to our breathing. And that's how we train. And the Buddha is giving us the principle of the function. The function is the application of mindfulness. Your intuition is not reliable in the same way that, your house is not reliable. It can fall apart at any moment. People can melt instantly. Mindful of whatever arises and not conceiving about whatever arises, just returning to the mindfulness of whatever arises, and use it with as few extra layers as possible. So just do it or just don't do it. Just trust this person or just don't trust this person. That's it. Don't write a book about it in your mind. Is that clear, Monifa?
Sort of. It, I just have to really look
Well,
deeper.
think about it like this, Monifa. If you were sitting in meditation, practicing serious meditation, right? Why do you need to trust people? Why do you need
to know that
to...
face, right?
Well, you're sitting in... No. You're sitting and practicing meditation seriously. So at that time, why do you need to trust people or think about your intuition? At that time, you just practice. And that's what the Buddha is talking about here, practicing. And this is a teaching given to the mendicants, given to the monks. So, it is putting us into a kind of monastic position. So we're informed by our serious practice, and then our intuition becomes more empowered and more clear, more reliable. But still, even if your intuition is very, very reliable and you use it without too much attachment, people change, situations change. Your body and mind are changing. So you have to become more skillful to detach, or better to say, to use only and to experience only, instead of writing a book about it or creating a narrative about it in your mind. Does that make sense? You just use
That
it.
made better.
Yeah. You just use it or don't use it, and that's it. You say get out or come in, and that's it. And in the meantime, you say, oh, you stink, get out. That's it. And you lock the door so that they can't get back in. That's it. And we just keep coming back to that's it, that's it, that's it, instead of perpetuating this, story about our experience. We just go to the direct experience, and that's where the complete understanding is.
Thank you. That made more sense.
Tutiya samuga atta sapayutta. Excuse me. Tutiya samuga tassapaya sutta. Bhikkhus, I will teach you the way that is suitable for uprooting all conceivings. Listen to this. And what, bhikkhus, is the way that is suitable for uprooting all conceivings? What do you think, bhikkhus? Is the I permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this is I am. This I am, this is myself. No, Venerable Sir. Are forms permanent or impermanent? Is I consciousness, is I contact, is any feeling that arises with eye contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neither painful nor pleasant, permanent or impermanent? Is the ear permanent or impermanent? Is the mind? Is any feeling that arises with mind contact permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering or happiness? Suffering, Venerable Sir. Is what is impermanent suffering and subject to change fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, this I am, this is myself. No, Venerable Sir. Seeing thus, bhikkhus, the instructed noble disciple experiences revulsion towards the I, towards forms, towards I consciousness, towards eye contact, towards whatever feeling arises with eye contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful or neither painful nor pleasant. They experience revulsion towards the ear, towards the mind, towards whatever feeling arises with mind contact. Experiencing revulsion, they become dispassionate. Through dispassion, their mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge it is liberated. They understand, destroyed is birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. This, bhikkhus, is the way that is suitable for uprooting all conceivings. These are the teachings of the Buddha given to the monks, the bhikkhus. Any questions?
If it's not too much trouble, can you read that again?
I'll put the link in the chat. But probably Bhikkhu Sujato's translation is, yeah, it's much better. So let's do Bhikkhu Sujato's translation here. Dutiya Samugata Sapaya Sutta. Mendicants, I will teach you the practice that is conducive to uprooting all conceiving. Listen. So, we know about everyone, in meditation, we're supposed to empty our mind, right? We're supposed to experience like silence and deep peace, right? So there's a renewal, there's a freshness, there's a freedom that goes along with a mind that is empty and open and free and peaceful, right? So this uprooting conceiving, okay, is to uproot that quality, that energy that keeps making things up, telling stories, creating all these ideas and affiliations in our mind and in all kinds of different ways concerned with attachment and tension and stress. Mendicants, I will teach you the practice that is conducive to uprooting all conceiving. Listen. And what is the practice that is conducive to uprooting all conceiving? What do you think, mendicants? Is the I permanent or impermanent? And Monifa, why don't you follow along in this and you answer the questions? What do you think, Monifa? Is the I permanent or impermanent?
Impermanent, maybe?
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard about dead people, but they cannot see and their eyes melt.
Okay.
EYE, EYE, okay? So let's try again. What do you think, Monifa? Is the I permanent or impermanent?
So permanent.
So your I is permanent?
So it's neither then?
So we're talking about the I. EYE. You have two eyes, right? Do you have two eyes?
Yeah. Yes.
Which one of them is permanent?
Our physical eyes.
Your physical eyes are
all
permanent?
I mean, are we talking about in terms of us being alive?
I'm talking about in terms of being permanent or impermanent. So something that is permanent cannot change.
Got it.
So is your body permanent?
I guess not. No.
Do you really need to guess about it? Where do you think where do you think the body of your great 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 grandmother is?
I mean,
So
I guess no longer, I guess. I say I guess because I'm not entirely sure.
well, do you believe that you have Egyptian ancestry?
Probably?
So it's possible that your great 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 grandmother is a mummy somewhere. Maybe.
Possibly, I'm not sure.
But even if your great 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 Egyptian grandmother was mummified, could we say that her body will be permanently in that state? Like, let's say, after a particular period of time, do you think that that body will stay in that state, or does it have to kind of decay? Does it have to kind of fall apart? Does your
Yeah.
body kind of have to fall apart one day or another?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try. What do you think, Monifa? Is the eye permanent or impermanent?
Neither. I'm going to say neither at this point. That's what I thought too. Permanence, permanence. What is the answer then, Bhante?
Well, we have to look closely, and then we will understand more. So let's continue with the sutta. Mendicants, these are the words of the Buddha. Mendicants, I will teach you the practice that is conducive to uprooting all conceiving, all like thinking about things, really. Listen. What do you think, mendicants? Is the eye permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, sir. But if it's impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? Suffering, sir. But if it's impermanent, suffering, and perishable, is it fit to be regarded thus? This is mine. I am this. This is myself. No, sir. Our sights, eye consciousness, eye contact, the pleasant, painful, or neutral feeling that arises in relationship to eye contact, is that permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, sir. But if it is impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? Suffering, sir. But if it is impermanent, suffering, and perishable, is it fit to be regarded thus? This is mine. I am this. This is myself. No, sir. Is the ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind permanent? Are the pleasant, painful, or neutral feelings that arise by experiencing the ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind, are those feelings permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, sir. But if it is impermanent, is it suffering or happiness? Suffering, sir. But if it is impermanent, suffering, and perishable, is it fit to be regarded thus? This is mine, I am this is myself. No, sir. So what this sutta is teaching us is that You wouldn't buy a phone if it was unreliable, right? If they told you it could break at any moment. But we buy into our affiliation, our attachment with these experiences that we're having. Sights, sounds, smells, taste, touch, thoughts that we have in our mind. So we wouldn't even buy a phone if we didn't think that it was reliable or stable. But how much more so unstable and unreliable are the fleeting and temporary thoughts, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, touch that come up and go away moment by moment. So seeing that these experiences of body and mind are impermanent, we recognize that it is a suffering. It is a suffering to grasp onto what is impermanent. Impermanence is suffering. So if something is impermanent, and if something is a kind of suffering, actually, then should we regard it as this is mine, I am this is myself? No. Why should we identify ourselves with what is miserable and impermanent and perishable? Why would you identify yourself with what is perishable and impermanent? That would make you suffer a lot. Just like if you identify with your phone, if you're overly attached to the phone and it falls and breaks, you're going to be very upset. So seeing this, recognizing this, a learned, noble disciple grows disillusioned with the eye, sights, eye consciousness, and eye contact. They grow disillusioned with the painful, pleasant, or neutral feeling that arises conditioned by eye contact. They grow disillusioned with the ear, nose, tongue, body. They grow disillusioned with the mind, ideas, mind consciousness, and mind contact. They grow disillusioned with the painful, pleasant, or neutral feelings that arise conditioned by mind contact. Being disillusioned, desire fades away. When desire fades away, they are freed. When they're freed, they know they are freed.
Battery 100%. USB audio. AUX audio.
Formations are impermanent. Mere things subjected to birth and death. But when the notions of death and birth are released, the silence is the highest joy and peace. All formations are impermanent. They are things subjected to birth and death. But when the notions of death and birth are released, the silence is the highest joy and peace. All formations are impermanent. Formations are things subjected to birth and death. Subjected to birth and death. Notions of death and birth. But when the notions of death and birth, the silence is the highest joy. The silence is the highest joy and peace. All formations are impermanent. Formations are impermanent. Things subjected to birth and death. Subjected to birth and death. Notions of death and birth. But when the notions of death and birth, the silence is the highest joy and the silence is the highest joy and peace.
The insight that brings us to the other shore.
No
Yeah, mostly we just need to listen and follow along. And, if you want to learn, you just have to keep showing up to places that are about what you want to learn about. And as long as you can do that, then you don't need to think about it. Just show up and you'll learn through your experience how to practice meditation, or how to understand about the truth, or how to understand about Buddhism. Okay, be happy. See you all again. We should have group meditation in about 10 hours. And that'll be live on the YouTube channel.